to our Bible story time. We're continuing the main story of the Bible with today's story. Last week we learned about the first family, Adam and Eve and their two sons, and how sin of Adam and Eve had gotten into the lives of their son. Their son Cain was angry and murdered his brother Abel. And so the sin of Adam and Eve had now brought death into their family. The problem had gotten into the human character and nature. And as the Bible goes on, it says that the sin problem got worse and worse. As there got to be more people on the face of the earth, there got to be also more violence and wrongdoing. The Bible says that God saw that there was violence everywhere, and that people only thought about bad and evil things that they could do to each other. And God said, I'm really sorry that I made these people, because people like that cannot please God. But there was one man and his family who still believed in God, and his name was Noah. Now Noah, and so our Bible story today is about Noah and the great flood. And you can read about it in Genesis chapters 6 and 7 and 8, right out of your own Bible. Now Noah's family was pleasing to God. They worshiped him. And God decided not to destroy them with the rest of all of the people who were so violent. And God had a plan, gave to Noah. He told Noah, I want you to build me a giant boat, because I'm going to send a flood of water upon the world and cover the earth, and I will destroy all the living things on the earth. But I will save you and your family. But to do that, you must build this big boat, you and your family, and I will send you animals to put on the boat, and I will save you from the flood that I'm sending. And so Noah and his sons, and perhaps some laborers, worked together to build this giant boat that the Bible calls an ark. And after many years, they put it together, and God sent animals to the ark to load on the ark, and we don't know what shape it was. Maybe it was just a big box like a barge. And the animals came according to God's plan, and animals, 2 of every kind of wild animal and 7 of all the tame animals came aboard the ark. And when everything was ready, God told Noah, it's time to get on the ark with all of those animals and your family. And they did, and God closed the door from the outside. And suddenly there was a rainstorm like no other rainstorm there has ever been. It rained and it poured for 40 days and nights of continuous rain. And the Bible says also the earth was broken open, and all of the aquifers underneath the earth spouted forth all of their water. And so water came up everywhere and came down from the top, up from the bottom, and the water covered the entire face of the earth, and everything that was not in the ark died. And so the waters were there, and they were in the ark for almost an entire year. And finally, as the ark began to move, the waters were going down, and Noah and his family looked eagerly for land. And finally they did land on the side of a mountain called Ararat in eastern Turkey. And there, when they landed and were able to come out, and the grass began to grow and animals found food, they gave thanks to God with a sacrifice of one of the clean animals, one of the tame animals that they had taken aboard the ship with them. And God spoke to them, gave them a promise, and he said, I promise that never again will all the living beings be destroyed with flood waters. Never again will a flood destroy the earth. Now there have been floods since then, but they were always local floods. And there have been people that died, but only a few people, not the entire earth. And as a sign of this everlasting promise that God made, he said, I will put my bow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of my promise to the world. And so after rainstorms, we often see the rainbow, which was God's seal of his guarantee that he would never again destroy the earth with the waters of a flood. And he has not until this day. The Bible does tell us, though, that there will be an end of the earth, and that end will not be with flood, but with fire. And at that time, all of us will have to give an account to God for what we have done. So what does this story mean? It means that sin is a big problem for all of us. We all do wrong things. Sin brings division, death. God hates sin, and he will punish sin. But God also loves the people who sin and will provide a way to save us. Families, like Noah's family, can please God with their faith and their worship. That's the Bible story for today about Noah and the great flood. And you can read all of the details about that in Genesis chapter 6, 7, 8, and a little bit of chapter 9.